Okay, so now maybe we need to hear from some of the wives. Ladies? Sarah? Sarah, tell us what it was like to wait for Mark.
It was hell. I mean, I never will truly understand the hell that he went through, and I'm never claiming that I ever will understand it, but there is a certain hell that you go through not knowing what is going on. And I mean, he was over there in the very beginning, and everything was so uncertain.
Mark went in with the invasion.
Yeah, so I had no idea what was going on. In fact, when he deployed, I didn't really know he was going to Iraq. It was just speculation at that point. We didn't really know. And I don't know. He did a lot of growing up, but so did I. And that's kind of been one of the things that we struggle with too. It's like, you know, he's changed, but in many ways I have too. And over that year, there's just so many things that happened to both of us. And once you come back together, it's like a huge struggle to try to find, you know, where you're at all of a sudden. You know, we're newlyweds after a year, and you come back together after never really lived together, and we're married for a year, and suddenly we're trying to figure out who we are and what our marriage is, and it's a completely different person than I married, and I'm a completely different person than he married, and you know, it's been challenging, definitely, but one of the biggest things that one of the hardest parts about it is seeing how much anger he has and trying to figure out how I can help. And I'm just realizing there's very little ways that I can help. You know, I mean, I realized before there were things I was definitely doing that were not helping.
You know, there's one thing that you should know, is that his insanity when he gets angry is only temporary.
Yeah. I know. Well, you know, and this is after seeking, you know, my own information, it wasn't given to me by the military or anything like that. I realized I was communicating with him completely wrong. When he would be angry, I would be like, stop being angry, you know, when really it should have never been like that. And that caused a lot of problems. And it was always, you know, just be happier. You know, you can't say that. You can't say to just be happier. What is wrong with you? You know. So now that I've kind of gotten over that, I hope, anyways.
Have you gotten over it? Have you gotten over it?
Well, I mean, there's still so many times, you know, we'll just be walking down the street and it's like angry at everybody and the whole world. You know, it's hard to deal with because
I never was that way before.
No.
This is new.
It's new.
It's new. This was not me.
I
was
swear.
cut all the hair.
I swear earlier on when I was saying that all that was left in me when I was that age was nothing or anger.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
I went through both phases too.
I mean, there's pieces of him are coming back now. I can see the real him coming back. And I'm sorry if I'm embarrassing you, but I mean, it was seriously like an empty shell for a very long time. And now I think it's finally, you know, slowly coming back to the person I knew from before. And he gets mad about being that person before. Like, that was the naive me. I never want to be that again. You know, but it's more just about learning to relax again. You know, you come back, you've been there for a year, you've been on edge for an entire year, how do you relax? And that's one of the biggest things that I'm trying to help with, but in the same aspect, I'm stressed out basket case too most of the time. So I mean, it's just hard to learn how to just relax.
So how do you relieve it? Do you watch TV a lot? Do you, I mean, really, what do you do for the comfort? Either one of you, what do you do for the comfort? You know, what is it?
I write, I write
mean,
music, I listen.
We listen to music. We don't really watch TV at all, thank God. But I mean, right after he came back, we went through a lot of hell. The story kind of goes on after he comes back from Iraq. There's, you know, a whole other issue with that. I mean, we put AWOL for a while, and there's, you know, a lot more. So that really put more stress on these issues we didn't deal with the PTSD issues, and all that was put in the background. And, you know, we were putting all the real important issues aside as we were trying to deal with getting out of the military. And now that the military is out of the picture, I think, you know, we've finally been able to figure out the underlying issues of the emotional problems and the damage to the spirit, really.
Well, and I can say that, you know, it was, oh, poor me, it was tough, you know, 1 year, but I have friends, and John's about to experience the 3rd trip yourself. So it's easy for me to like sit here and say, oh, poor me, it was so hard, but
It was.
there's always someone who's going to have it harder, and there's going to always be someone who has it easier. So what I found with this group, with my new friends, is that we all bring something different to the table. Some of us know the system in different ways. We all experience different things when we're in Iraq, and our wives experience their own private misery at home, and so when we talk, I mean, we all bring in a different perspective, and that really, I think, that really helps. But I guess that's it. But you know, we all go through.
Let me ask you though, you know, sort of the brotherhood that was there, the brotherhood that's here now, the intensity of the friendships. Do you feel cut out?
This has been something that actually we've been working on, like a documentary for the last 4 years. We've had a guy that's been filming us for this documentary, and I haven't really talked to him about this a whole lot, but with the guy who's filming the documentary, we've discussed this a lot. Is when he was part of, you know, his Vets for Vets group and, you know, the Iraq Veterans Against the War. I mean, this was more before. It's been completely different, you know, in like the last year. But when he first came back and started joining these groups and stuff, it was like, they understand me, you don't, you'll never get it, I don't want to talk to you about it, just forget about ever understanding, you know? And it wasn't that I wanted him to think, look, I know what you've been through. I just wanted him to feel like, why can't you know, to come to me like he was able to go to those people. I'm his wife. And more than anything, you just want to be that person that your husband can confide in and, you know, wants to come to with all of his emotional baggage. And it didn't feel like that was happening at all. And so it was like the most traumatic thing for me to see that, okay, every Wednesday night was like the happiest night of his life when he would go to a Vets for Vets meeting, and I didn't have any of that, you know, with him at home. He didn't want to talk to me. But now I feel more included in those kinds of things, and I think, you know, I tried actually making a group of spouses who could get together and talk, you know, military wives who could get to talk together and just talk about, you know, how it is to have a veteran that comes home from the war and trying to deal with the issues. But really there was no calling for. I mean, as much as I wanted to do it, I kind of went to like FRG groups and stuff, and they
This is a bit of a guess. This is a bit of a guess. But every day that you were in Iraq, she was with you. All that mattered was getting home to her. All that mattered was getting a letter from time to time. And then when you got home, it wasn't there anymore.
Well, when I got there, I didn't feel like I could tell her. I didn't want to tell her anything, and instead, I bottled it up, and I paired her into the old me. Because you have to understand, in me, and I'm sure in all these guys, there's a battle going on between the new me, who knows all this stuff and hates it, and there's the old me who is hopeful and happy and looked forward to the future and my life and who I was, and they're at battle. And she was a casualty of that as being the old me who I don't want to see, the old me who I don't want to admit exists. And she was part of that. And that was unfair to her, but that's how she got.
But when you were in Iraq, I'm speaking of then,
Right.
that every day she was with you.
Well, absolutely. But then
Every day, all you wanted to do was to get home to her.
You have to have a driving force, right? I mean, there's those guys that go marry someone 2 weeks before they leave for Iraq, and my theory is they need to have a reason to come home, because if you're on your 3rd deployment, what reason do you have to not just say, why come home? You know? I mean, I know a guy that married a girl just before he left who didn't even really know her, but he gave her everything, all of his money, his car, everything. And I mean, it's like, I don't really have anything but you now, and I need some reason to keep living.
So he's a really lucky guy that he has you.
Amen, bro.
Yeah.
Do not